So students, welcome to CET NEET class. In our last class, under chapter sexual reproduction in flowering plants, synopsis, we finished till types of pollination. We will continue with that. We were discussing about a method of gamete transfer in plants, that is transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma, that is pollination. This gamete transfer is a second step under pre-fertilization. We have learned three types of pollination, that is autogamy, then geitonogamy, then xenogamy. Okay, then let us see agents of pollination today. Agents of pollination. Mediators, because why these agents are required in plants? Because suppose anther and gynoecium, okay, this is stigma, style, ovary. Okay, so this is male reproductive part, this is female reproductive part, this is androecium, this is gynoecium. Okay, if both are there in the same plant also, same plant and same flower, single flower has both male and female reproductive structures. Suppose the flower is bisexual. In that case also, there will be distance between male and female reproductive part. There will be distance between anther and stigma. Okay, if it is in the same flower also, at least millimeter to centimeter distance will be there. Pollen grain has to cover that distance. How do you think pollen grains from the released by the anther will directly go and land on stigma? How it covers this distance? Naturally pollen grains cannot cover that distance from anther to stigma. It has to be carried. Pollen grain should be carried from anther to stigma. What will do that? Those things are called agents, mediators. Agents means they are responsible for transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma. They cover the distance. Okay, so they are called agents of pollination. There are mainly two types of agents. Okay, in most of the cases plants use first type of agent, that is biotic agents. Biotic agents, bio means life, living organisms. Living organisms are used as agents here. In some cases, in very less cases, plants uses abiotic agents. A means without, bios means life, living organisms. Without living organisms means abiotic means non-living things are used. Okay, so biotic agents, what are those biotic agents? Biotic agent can be insects. Okay, in the textbook these words are not there. What is that, Insect pollination is called by what in biology? Insect pollination is a English word, isn't it? So what we call that as, because for NEET and AIPMT they used to ask, what is that type of pollination is called as? For example, insect pollination is called entomophily. Phily means pollination. Okay, entomo, what is entomology? Okay, it is study of insects. So entomophily means it is a pollination by agent insect. So if it is insects, then it is entomophily. Then if it is through bats, not cricket bat, we are talking about mammals, flying bat. Okay, if it is through bats, then it is called chiropterophily. Pollination is called as chiropterophily. If we say that word entomophily, that means you should understand that it is a pollination by insects. Okay, through agent insects. Bats means chiropterophily. Then if it is through ants, in very less cases, if it is through ants, okay, then it is myrmecophily, which is not there in the book, okay. Myrmecophily, if it is agent is ants, then in very less cases, 0.1%, sometimes it happens by snails also, snails or slugs, okay. In case of snails or slugs, then the type of pollination is called as malacophily. Malacophily, okay. Then any other way is left through in the biotic agents, any other ways, that is, you have learnt in your theory part. You tell me, if it is through birds, then what it should be called as? If it is through birds, okay, then if birds are used as agents like hummingbirds, okay, then it is called as ornithophily. You know, ornithology means study of birds, okay. Ornithos means birds, so study of birds, that is ornithology, isn't it? So if birds are used as agents, then agent means if birds transfer pollen grain from anther to stigma, then the type of agent or pollination is called ornithophily, okay. Then if suppose non-living things like wind and water are used as agents, if wind helps for transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma, then it is called anemophily. See the word, A-N-E-M-O, anemo, not anemo, okay, chalk, anemophily. Then if water is used as an agent, then it is very simple, hydrophily, okay. So these are biotic and abiotic agent. In most of the cases plants use biotic agents only. That means most number of plants use biotic agents, very less number of plants use abiotic agents for transfer of pollen grains. Now we have to see, for undergoing these type of pollination, through agents, what all modification plants should have. For example, if the agent is wind, if wind has to carry pollen grains from anther to stigma in one plant, then what all adaptations or modifications plant should have to undergo wind pollination, okay. How plant prepares itself for wind pollination, that is what we call adaptations or modifications of plants for wind pollination, okay. So let us see abiotic factors first, because very less number of plants undergo, will undergo abiotic method, okay. So if it is through wind pollination, then the method is called as anemophily, okay. Then what all adaptations or modifications plant should have? Very simple. First one is, it should have well exposed stigma and stamens should be there in the plant. Well exposed means, a long stigma, feathery stigma should be there, feather like. feather like, because if pollen grains come, these are pollen grains, suppose if wind carries pollen grains, then if the stigma is long and feathery like a bird's feathers, okay, then pollen grains will be trapped here. When wind carries it, then pollen grains will be trapped. Okay, so first adaptation should be well exposed stamens. So stamens and stigma should be exposed to air. So if wind carries pollen grains, then it can be easily trapped by these type of feathery stigma. Okay, then stamens also should be well exposed, because wind, when it comes with the force, then the dehisced anther, the anther will break open, then the dry pollen grains will be released like a chalk dust. Okay, then wind carries it. Then one more thing should be there, that stigma, not only it should be feathery, it should be wavy also. Wavy means, when a wind comes, it should wave like this, okay, along with the wind current. Okay, so it should be wavy, it should move left to right. Okay, so that should be the character. Then first adaptation. Second adaptation should be, what should be the pollen grain characters? Pollen grains should be non-sticky, or it should be sticky according to you. If it is sticky like a gum, wind cannot carry these pollen grains. So it should be non-sticky, isn't it? It should be non-sticky pollen grains, so that easily it can be transported through wind. Already you have learned this, but even then I am saying. And it should be very lightweight, very light weighted, so that wind can easily carry these pollen grains. Feathery stigma and stamens, in case of corn cob, corn cob. You see corn you eat, that is corn cob we say. Corn cob, what you see there, that is all, what is all that? It is all stigma. Okay, so many stigma will be there. So if wind carries pollen grains, if this is a corn cob, then it can easily trap here, because wind passes this way. While passing this way, the pollen grains can land on this feathery stigma. Okay, so this is a character. Then what about the gynoecium, female reproductive part, where ovule should have only, gynoecium should have only one ovule. Okay, gynoecium should have single ovule in each ovary. Single ovule should be there in each ovary. Suppose this is the ovary, then only single ovule should be there, so that fertilizing ability increases. If pollen grain comes, definitely fertilization happens. Okay, so because only one ovule is there, 100% fertilization, entry of pollen tube happens there. So it should have single ovule. Then what about flower? How the flower should be? The flower should be numerous flowers packed in the form of inflorescence. Numerous flowers means many small flowers. Okay, if it is a big flower, then pollen grain may not fall on the flower. Okay, because pollen grain may pass from upper or lower side. If many flowers are there with a long stalk, many flowers are there, many pollen grains will pass. At least chances are there that one or two may fall on one or two flowers, so that pollination happens. And I have one more question. You know this, even then, because there is no interaction here, you can't ask doubts. So I am only asking and answering the questions, because these are the common questions which students get. Okay, why plants should produce, why wind pollinated plants where stamens produce millions of pollen grains, why it should not produce only one pollen grain? Very simple, to increase the chances of pollination. Because see, wind carries pollen grains. Wind carries millions of pollen grains. Chances are there that out of millions of pollen grains, at least 1 or 2 pollen grain should fall on the flower. Sometimes that also doesn't happen. Okay, not even single pollen grain doesn't fall. It will be carried by wind and it will fall somewhere and get wasted. Okay, so to increase the chances of pollination and fertilization, plant produces numerous millions of pollen grains. Okay, then what I said, flowers are numerous and packed in the form of inflorescence. You know, inflorescence means many flowers together. It is a bunch of flowers. It takes a chance, it increases the chances of pollination. Out of, suppose 50 flowers are there, very small flowers, chances are there that at least 1 or 2 pollen grain will fall on at least one flower, so that 100% pollination and fertilization should happen. So to increase the chances of pollination. So these are modifications of wind pollinated plants. Then what about water pollinated plant, that is hydrophily? Hydrophily, where agent is water. Very less number of plants undergo water pollination, only 30 genera. Okay, plants which belongs to 30 genera of monocotyledonous plants in monocots. Plants of only 30 genera, genus 30 genera undergo water pollination. Then what should be the modification of the plant? So the modification, and which plant undergoes these type of pollination? Some lower plants like algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes and all. Algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, because all these plants require water for their reproduction. You know this. Algae completely requires water, bryophytes can, biophytes for reproduction it needs water, pteridophytes for reproduction it needs water. So these type of plants, and some sea grasses and some aquatic plants, plants which lives in water, undergo these type of pollination. Only plants which belongs to 30 genera of monocotyledonous plants undergo these type of pollination. Then what all modification plants should have? But before that, let us see what all plants undergo these type of pollination. Like Vallisneria, Hydrilla, aquatic plant which lives in water. Hydrilla, same, aquatic plant. Okay, then some sea grasses like Zostera, all these undergo this type of pollination. Then water hyacinth and water lily also. Water hyacinth means in a Eichhornia. We call it as terror of Bengal, scourge of water bodies. Okay, so same plant, water hyacinth with blue color flowers, no, aquatic weed, unwanted plant. Hyacinth, water hyacinth and water lily, very beautiful flower, white color flower, that also undergoes. In most of the aquatic plants, plant which lives in water undergoes pollination through water. So what all modification plant should have for undergoing this type of pollination? In most of the cases, the pollen grain structure itself should be long ribbon like flat pollen grains, because in sea grasses and all, okay, the grasses which are found in a shallow water, sea water, okay, they produce pollen grains. Pollen grain shape only is long ribbon like flat structure. Okay, so it can easily move, swim in water and reach a female plant. Okay, so water is used as a medium for swimming. By swimming it reaches female reproductive part. Okay, so these structures are called elaters. This word is very important, elater, elaters. The long ribbon like flat pollen grains are called elaters. Okay, it is there in seagrass like Zostera plant. This word elater is not there in any NEET book also. It is not there in textbook, definitely it is not there. But 2017 NEET, they have asked this question with 4 options. Okay, 2017 or 18 maybe. Okay, anyone, 2017 or 18, they have asked about, one of the option was elater and the correct answer was elater only. Okay, because this is not there in any textbook, so you should remember this. In sea grasses, it produces long ribbon like pollen, like this, long ribbon like pollen grains, that is elaters. Then you may ask, what about wetting of pollen grains in water? If pollen grains are in water, don't you think it becomes wet and it will get spoiled? Okay, but here wetting of pollen grains are prevented by mucilage cover present on the outer layer of pollen grains. Pollen grains outer side, ribbon like pollen grains, outer side it is covered by a mucilage. Mucilage means like a mucus. What we produce Nandini ghee in the nose, not Nandini ghee, it is called mucus. Okay, it is like Nandini ghee I said. Okay, so that sticky mucus covering, that is mucilaginous covering will be there. That mucilage doesn't allow water to enter, so that pollen grains will not be wetted. It is like, if I am a pollen grain, I'll wear a raincoat or rain jacket. Okay, then I'll expose myself to rain, then I'll not be wetted, I'll not get wet because raincoat protects. Like that, pollen grains will be protected by mucilaginous covering. Okay, so mucilaginous coat protects wetting, prevents wetting of pollen grains. Then in Vallisneria, special type of pollination happens in Vallisneria, which is aquatic plant. You know this. I am not teaching here because you have already learned this. My teaching is very slow. I don't teach in this way. Okay, very slowly. Only for wind pollination I need 1 class to explain. But this is NEET class, you have already learned, and I am not teaching here, I am discussing synopsis. We are discussing synopsis. Okay, so Vallisneria, where a huge flower, okay, huge flower is there. Huge flower is there. This huge flower is a female flower. Okay, female flower. Male flowers will be there. Male flowers are very small, like this. These are male flowers. Female flower is bigger and male flower is smaller. Okay, and one more important thing is there, that if suppose this is a surface of water, okay, female flower will be exposed to air. It is present on the surface of water, exposed to air. But male flowers will be completely embedded in water. It is completely in water. Okay, then male flowers, when water current comes, the male flowers will start circulating, and it comes to top and it starts circulating like this, and it will enter female flower. Water current comes to the flower, then the water starts rolling around the female flower, then male flowers which were there in water, it will come up slowly and it will start rotating on the female flower, and slowly it will enter female flower. So that is a way that male flower enters female flower and pollen grains will be released, then pollination occurs. Okay, this is in case of Vallisneria. Okay, so these are modifications of plants for hydrophily. Then let us see other agents of pollination. Okay, then majority of the flowering plants, they use a wide range of animals like bees, butterflies, flies, beetles. If you see biotic agents, if living organisms are used as agents, then it can use bees, it can use beetles, okay, it can use butterflies, then it can use some rodents also, land animals, very small animals. It can use gecko lizard in some cases. Gecko lizard also can do pollination. Then in some cases bigger animals like larger animals like some primates, lemurs, arboreal rodents, all that. Arboreal means tree dwelling habit, animals which lives on the tree branches, we call them arboreal, okay, rodents. So it is arboreal rodents. Then in some cases lemurs, lemurs, it is like monkeys only but very small head, lemurs, okay, they are also used as pollinating agents. Then what about other animals? Wasps, ants, moths, birds, sunbirds, hummingbirds. In case of birds, it can be sunbirds or hummingbirds. Then wasps, okay, then moths, okay, all these can be used as agents for pollination. Then let us see what all modification plants should make for undergoing biotic agent mediated pollination. If biotic agents are used as media for pollination, then what all modification plants should have? If it was wind pollinated, then flower doesn't have to be colorful, because wind doesn't see whether flower is colorful or not. But if it is insect pollination, insect will visit only those flowers which are very colorful and which are bright color, because this bright color attracts the insects, okay. For insects, these flowers looks very beautiful, very attractive, so that insect will visit these flowers, okay. So the modification for biotic agents as pollination, it should be, number one, large flower, bright colored, colorful, then it should have a foul odor, smell, very good smell should be there, so that with the smell of the flower only insect will get attracted, okay. So this is, and conspicuous, visible flowers, okay, flowers, it should be visible for insects. Then it should be rich in nectar. It should be fragrant flowers. Fragrant means, fragrance means, perfume will have fragrance, that is very good smell, okay. So flower should be fragrant and it should be rich with nectar. Nectar means, sweet, sugary syrup present in the flowers, okay, that is nectar. Now kannadadalli makaranda antivalla adike ade, okay, sweet nectar. So when insect visit these flowers, they come to these flowers for taking or sucking these nectar. They use nectar as a food, Okay, unknowingly, not purposefully, unknowingly the pollen grains are like a dust like particles. It will get entangled, it will get stuck with the insect's body, and when insect visits next flower, unknowingly, insect will not know that it is carrying pollen grains. Then unknowingly these pollen grains will fall because it beats its wings with that speed. The pollen grains will fall on the stigma of next flower, so that pollination happens unknowingly without insect will not know that this pollination happens. Okay, so flower will have some modification for undergoing this type of pollination. Then number of flowers are clustered in an inflorescence. Usually it should be large flowers so that it is visible to insects. So in some plants large flowers are not produced, very small flowers are produced, but also they undergo this type of pollination. Then less small flowers but many flowers grouped in a form of a bunch of flowers. Even then also insects can see these flowers. Okay, so it is, if small flowers, it should be grouped or clustered to form an inflorescence. Okay, so we will take some examples, but before we take some examples, we should see why should insect visit these flowers. Any benefit is there for insects if they visit these flowers? Definitely benefits are there. Flower, that is flower, when insect visit these flowers in return means flower will get a benefit because pollination happens there, so flowers will get benefited. What insect will get? For visiting a flower should give some rewards, like a prizes for visiting these flowers. Okay, what are these rewards? First reward is nectar. They give sugary syrup for drinking. Then second, as a food. Then second, pollen grains. There is no use of pollen grains for insects. Okay, but they get these pollen grains stuck on the body, so they give rewards. That is pollen grains and nectar. In some cases what happens, there are some insects, they visit these flowers, get nectars, but they don't take any pollen grains. Okay, like selfish insects, they visit the flowers, they suck nectar, but they don't carry any pollen grains, they just steal nectar. Okay, they are called pollen robbers. Those insects are called pollen robbers. These are not my words, okay, these are textbook words only. Pollen robbers. Okay, then in some plants insect will get some more benefits, like insect can lay eggs in the ovary of some flowers. Okay, in the ovary, the chambers of ovary, chambers of ovule we call locule. So some insects can lay eggs in the locule of the ovary, so that flower gives space for releasing eggs. Okay, such example, if we take 6 feet long flower is there, that is called tallest flower, Amorphophallus, 6 feet long, where floral rewards are giving safe places, safe space for laying eggs. That is Amorphophallus. Amorphophallus, we Kannadadalli Suvarna Gadde anta karitivalla. That is also called what is that? Some elephant's foot or something we call. Okay, so very big. Okay, so these are tallest flower, 6 feet tall is a flower only. Flower itself is 6 feet. Okay, so lot of space is there in its eggs, and flower gives space for these insects to lay eggs. Then beautiful relation is there between yucca plant and moth. You know this. Yucca plant and moth. That is, yucca plant gives space for these moths to lay eggs in their locule of ovary. Then eggs will hatch there. Then eggs will release these offsprings. Then when slowly after fertilization, when these eggs starts developing into seeds, then the offsprings will come out. Okay, then these yucca will get benefited by moth by pollination. Moth will do pollination. So it's a mutual benefit. Both will help each other. Where plant will get pollinated by moth, moth will get space for laying eggs in its locule of the ovule. Okay, so this is a beautiful relationship that So lot of things we can't discuss in one class because class is limited to only 45 minutes. Okay, let us see what all questions we can discuss on these concepts. Yes, I hope it is visible now. Yes. So the first question is, see, I want to discuss more questions, but time doesn't permit, because I told you in last class, this camera can record maximum 45 minutes one class. If I continue teaching after 45 minutes, it becomes 2 videos naturally. Camera itself has settings like that. Then if it becomes 2 videos, then I have to join. Editing takes 2-3 hours. Okay. Then uploading these videos to YouTube takes 2 hours. So it is almost 5-6 hours work to do one NEET class. Okay. Then, so I want to discuss more, but we are limited to 45 minutes maximum. Okay. So synopsis we will discuss, then we will discuss some questions based on that synopsis what I discussed that day only. So first question is, wind pollination is more common in, this was asked in CBSE AIPMT 2011. Okay, when NEET, before becoming NEET it was AIPMT, All India Pre-Medical Test, 2011. Okay, wind pollination is common in which type of plants? Lilies, grasses, orchids and legumes. It should be in grasses, because in aquatic plants which are embedded in water, submerged in water, wind pollination is more, because in lilies, they are also aquatic plants, they need water, but the flowers are well exposed, flowers are exposed to air, so that wind pollination may happen there. Okay, so wind pollination may happen. So what is the question? Sorry. Wind pollination is more common in which ones? Grasses, lilies, orchids and legumes. Definitely grasses, grasses are well exposed. Lilies, then orchids, legumes, wind pollination is less. So it should be in grasses, option B. So next question we will see. So long ribbon-like pollen grains. Long ribbon-like pollen grains, we just discussed. Long ribbon-like pollen grains are seen in some aquatic plants, wind pollinated plants, gymnosperms, bird pollinated flowers. It should be aquatic plants, because ribbon-like pollen grains can swim in water. We just discussed, it is called elaters. Okay, so it is aquatic plants. It was asked for DUMET 2001, Delhi University Medical Entrance Test, in short DUMET 2011. Okay, then CBSE AIPMT 2002, they have asked this question. One of the following guides the pollen grain in releasing. This is what we discussed in our last class, yet to discuss in next class also. This is not finished. We discussed double fertilization, triple fusion in last class. Again in next class we are going to discuss in detail Okay, so which one will guide the pollen tube in releasing gametes in an embryo sac? So it should be, what should be the correct answer according to you? It is option A, isn't it? Synergids present on the either side of egg. Egg is present in the center, then two synergids are there on both the sides. Those two synergids will help, they will guide in entry of pollen tube into the egg. Then it happens through filiform apparatus, you know, but what helps they asked. So it should be synergid, option A. Next question. This you know, based on that only I am saying. Okay, the arrangement of the nuclei in a normal embryo sac. Embryo sac is female gametophyte. How many cells are there in embryo sac? It is 7-celled 8 nucleate embryo sac. So it should be 3 antipodal cells, 2 polar nuclei in the middle, 1 egg and 2 synergids. So 3 antipodals, 2 polar nuclei, 1 egg and 2 synergids. So it should be 3 plus 2 plus 3. So which option? This question is asked in 2017 or 2018, I exactly don't remember, but 100% I know that you can check the question paper. Same question is asked for a NEET only. Okay, so it should be 3 plus 2 plus 3. 3 antipodal cells, 2 polar nuclei and 1 is egg and 2 synergids, totally 3. So it should be 3 plus 2 plus 3. Tricky question, simple but tricky question. Okay, then this is based on what we discussed today. This was asked for Manipal 2006. You know Manipal, what we call Manipal University, in short we call MAHE. Okay, MAHE, MAHE. Earlier, Manipal used to conduct separate entrance exam for MBBS and BDS courses. But now everywhere it is NEET only. They have to follow this. So let us see the question. Anemophily means, you know, wind pollination. I just told you these words. Anemophily is pollination by what? See, that's why I taught you these words. Wind pollination is called as anemophily. Then bird pollination is called ornithophily. Insect pollination is called entomophily. Then pollination is by snails or slugs is called malacophily. Pollination is by bats is called chirapterophily. Then pollination by wind is anemophily. Then pollination through water is hydrophily. These words you should know, which is not there in the book. Okay, these words are not there in the book, but I taught you in NEET class, so you have to remember this. Anemophily means it is pollination by wind, so it should be pollination through air. It should be option B. Then wind pollinated flowers are what? Small scented. Scented means very good smell. Small scented and colorless, small non-scented and colorless, big scented and colored, big non-scented and colorless. These are type of questions they ask for NEET. You should know. This was asked for Manipal 2003. So these type of questions you should know. Okay, it should be option B. Small flowers, then non-scented. Smell is not required because wind doesn't take a smell. If it is insect, definitely it wants that smell. It will get attracted to the smell. But here wind doesn't care for all these things. So it should be small, non-scented and colorless. Color doesn't matter for wind pollination. If it is insect pollination, then it should be bright colors to attract insects. So it is very simple. It should be option B. So successfully, beautifully, we have discussed today's concept. Okay, more than this nobody can teach. Okay, you compare to any other classes, beautifully it is done today, and always it will be done like that. Okay, so I gave you my WhatsApp number for asking doubts if you have any doubts. Okay, so keep watching my classes. Thank you.